Welcome to the Vivid Vision podcast. Thank you for tuning in and making your choice to win. This is the show we normally motivate and inspire. We give you tactical strategies to implement on your way to greatness. And now, here is your host, Shevo Umweni.
How are you today?
I'm very well, very well. Always well, though. Every day's a good day. Every day's an awesome day, actually. That's me.
Yeah, I guess you're having a busy day.
Always busy, but always fun.
I understand. Damian, you're welcome to Vivid Vision podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I read your profile. I read about you helping businesses during the COVID-19. I was really amazed.
I worked through COVID. As a number of my clients were essential services, so I spent a bit of time working with them. Was very busy.
Oh, great. Can you do a little bit introduction, please? Can we know you a bit?
Yeah, certainly. My name is Damian Andrews. I primarily work as a consultant for business, helping revenue and profit. We work in a number of different areas certainly from the revenue side of things, how to improve the operational, so looking at the costs and the efficiencies within the organization, and also how to create a really great culture, because today, certainly more so today, with the demographic shift that has occurred, which we always knew was coming, but a lot of people didn't plan for, but now there's not the abundance of employees. Employers really need to be focused on how to create an environment that is attractive to employees, and also to employees looking for a little bit more than just going to retiring for a gold watch. They want a work-life balance. They also want to contribute heavily as well. So we spend a lot of time working in those three areas in revenue, operations, and culture. I also have a foundation called SHAIR.care, SHAIR.care, which is also the website. And that it's an acronym for Strong, Healthy, and Inspiring Relationships. And SHAIR is a global organization sharing experience, strength, and hope to create strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships. And from that, we also have an offshoot, Be Manly and the Masters of the Universe, not Masters of the Universe, Be Manly and the Legends of Humanity, shortened to Be Manly, which is a source of inspiration for boys and men to really embrace the power that they have and contribute well to the world and create an even better world for everybody.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's really amazing. Yeah, you're doing a lot. How do you combine these? You're doing so much.
Yeah, well, I run a program called Max Time, which is time management's a misnomer, because time is a constant. It moves at a constant pace, and everyone has the same amount. So we all have 24 hours in a day. We all have 7 days a week. We all have 365 days in the year, except for the every fourth year when we get an extra day. And it's not how you manage time, because you can't. Time will continue to move forward at the same pace. What the difference is how you manage effort. And I call it ROE, return on effort. And in the Max Time program that I run, which is part of the exceptional effort module Max Time's the module within the exceptional effort program, but it's really about how you focus your day. So it's being very clear about where you're going to start with, and then how you structure your day to get the key things done. And your listeners and yourself will have heard the term work smarter, not harder. And when you look around at people, and if you look closely, how many people are actually working smarter? Most people just push harder. And so what I do is I follow my own program and smash out lots of things, get lots of time with my family as well, have lots of fun. Today I got a lot done, and I sat and watched a car race because I wanted to do that as well, and feel awesome. So I wake up feeling awesome and go to bed feeling awesome and accomplish lots of really good things.
Okay, there was a particular time I would talk to people and they will say, let me check my calendar. I'm going to check my calendar. I'm going to see if I'm free. I didn't understand these things until I started my podcast. Yeah, I did not understand that you have to plan ahead. You have to plan this. You have to plan for these days. because there are sometimes I'm a video editor. I'm a
Okay.
video maker. So I can get a call from anybody.
Yeah.
I'll just move. But it got to a particular time, and most of these things you go to, they are not really important.
90% of the things you do in the day are not necessary.
Yes. So when I started this podcast, I downloaded Calendly. I'm still learning how to use it, but it has really, really helped me. And I'm
That's awesome.
learning how to use it.
I love that.
So
That's well done.
It's really good to set goals. So, Damian, I want you to talk about the COVID-19. What was the transformation? Yeah, I'm asking you in regards to what I read about you, that you help businesses during the COVID-19. So that's what got me really interested. I wanted to know what you did.
Yeah, in the promote, yeah, there's one particular client that you're talking about, the client that went from $8 million turnover to $25 million.
Exactly that.
Yeah, well, that was and this is how, I mean, we were running a program coming up called the Next Gen Sales Masterclass, myself and another fellow in Australia called Peter Anthony. And one of the things we're looking at in regard to that, or one of the things that we share, is this whole dynamic shift that sales has actually turned on. Well, I don't know that people are now accepting that you have to do sales differently. People that really excelled with sales always did it this way, but the whole hard selling thing is not working. And what I did with that client is we identified what was the key things that the clients that they were looking for wanted, what was the key need that they had, and what were they not getting. So what was the problem? And this is where sales always starts. What is the problem that the client is facing? And is it a problem that you can solve? And in this case, this company could do that. The issues that they had, the clients were having, they worked in the construction area. So this client was providing services in the engineering construction space. And the biggest problems those clients had was their clients, the big contractors, was subcontractors complying with safety, and subcontractors doing all the compliance work. And so what we set up was a process to show the clients or the potential clients that this subcontractor could come in and do that work, and would be trusted to do it in a safe way, and also meet all the compliance requirements. Now, obviously, they were delivering a high quality product as well. The work that their employees were doing was really high end, so they had that down pat. But what we really showed the contractor, or the head contractor, their client, was that they would deliver on safety and the compliance side of things. And we set up systems to show that. So when they came to the office, they just could see that was how they operated. And from that perspective, they got trusted with new work. And then when the clients saw that they were delivering as they said they would, which is, sales is all about trust, they just kept getting more and more work, because it was easier for the clients to give them that work, because they knew it was going to get done the way they needed it done. So really it comes down to identifying what is the need, what is the problem that client that you're seeking has, and can you fulfill that? First one is, can you fulfill it? If it's not in your area, don't do it. Don't try and be something you're not. If it's not in your space. But if it's something that you can solve, then show them how you can do that. And that's basically what we did. And I think that's pretty, in today's market, it's pretty easy to do, because there's not many people that actually do that. If you do that, if you look at the client's problem and show them, hey, look, I can solve this problem for you, then, and they trust you, which is all about creating rapport, which we have a whole modules on how to do that, how to create rapport, how to create those relationships. And they then sell you. Basically, they're saying, look, we need your services, so you don't have to sell them.
Oh, great. So I can say that if you are able to figure out people's problems and able to solve it, meaning you're creating value, and in return for the value, you're going to get paid, right?
100%. If you can figure out what it is it's not so much figuring out the value. It is this value, but what is the problem? What is the problem that they're facing? And if you can sort that out, if you can work out what is that problem, then and show that you can deliver it, and they trust that you can deliver solving that problem, then the sale's pretty much done. You don't have to sell.
Very true. And when you are able to deliver in the first place, the first instance, that's when the trust start building, right?
Yeah, exactly. You really need to be able to deliver. It's a key point. You have to deliver. And one of the biggest things with sales a lot of people misunderstand is they're always looking for new sales, and they're not looking after their current clients. So, I mean, the current client, if they've bought from you, they've already trusted you. Nurture that relationship. And again, we have systems and processes which we share and teach people how to nurture that relationship, how to create that so that your client is a big raving fan of you. That's what you want them to be. You want them to be this massive fan and going, hey, I love doing work with Damian. He's so awesome. And they also tell their friends if they do that. I mean, if you really love something, think about it from your perspective. If you really love something, don't you tell your friends about it? It's just basic common human behavior. And that's where but it's how you do that. And that's where we have those processes to show, hey, look, this is how you do that. Hey, this is how you do it in a genuine way. Obviously, you've got to be genuine to start with, but once, if you are genuine, this is how to get that across. So the client really sees how genuine you are, because you can have all these wonderful skills and great intentions and be an honorable person, but if they don't know that, then it doesn't really matter. So that's what we share, is how you can actually show your clients that you actually are really passionate, just as passionate, if not more passionate, about their business succeeding as they are.
You agree that some clients can be very, very troublesome, right? So how do you handle this?
I refer them to my competition.
How do you do that?
If they're difficult clients, send them to your competition. You don't want them. I know it sounds like a joke, but it sounds like a joke, but it's not. I mean, one of a company, and they weren't a client of mine, but I met the directors, and they had a plumbing business turning over $15 million, and they were just working flat out. They were working 7 days a week, not seeing their family, very stressful, dealing with lots of difficult clients. And then they made the decision. They said, we're just going to get rid of the bad clients. And they did. And the revenue dropped from 15 million to 10 million. So that's a 1/3 drop. That's massive, a massive drop. Now, and what happened was, yes, they had so much more time. So they went from working 7 days a week to working 5 days a week, normal hours, not extra long hours, normal hours. The thing that they noticed, though, is even though their revenue dropped by 1/3, so from 15 million to 10 million, their profit went up. And that's what you're after. It's not about how much turnover you have. It's how much of that turnover do you keep. And this is where difficult clients cost you a lot more money. Now, I have worked with some difficult clients. I haven't referred them all away, but I have what I call, a difficult client factor, which I say, well, if you want to work with, I don't say they're difficult clients, but I say, look, this is the rate. I know that you have a lot of demands and things that you want. That's extra time and stress on my behalf, and this is my rate for working with you. If you want to do that, if you really want it, then that's the price. And I've had a couple accept that price.
I laughed. I wasn't expecting you to say you leave them up to another person, but I was expecting you. We were taught that customers are always right.
The customers are not always right. The customers are made to feel that they're right, and then sometimes the right thing for them is to work with someone else.
Yeah, I agree to that. But how do you? That's what you're saying now. I think is for somebody who already is making it big in the industry or in the market. But what of somebody that's just starting up?
When you're starting out a business, this is where you need to be very good at how you operate, because the one thing that will happen, and you're very fragile at the start, extremely fragile. And that's where, I mean, if you put it this way, if you're starting out and you're getting everything ready, you're getting things all settled, and then you take on a client that you can tell is going to be difficult, it's going to require a lot of work. So you're putting a lot of work into satisfying that client, and you're not putting work into looking for really good clients. So at the very beginning, that's where you really need to be very, very careful. Unfortunately, it's one of those areas where it's a skill set. So you learn through the school of hard knocks as to how to identify who's a good client and who's not a good client. But a little bit of psychology, a little bit of listening, just paying attention. You can get a feel for it if you trust. Just listen, really listen. Is this client really going to be difficult? Are they talking? Are they clear about what they want? That's a big one. Are they clear about what they want? And you put it on them. Do they want to do that? And you need to, at the start of a business, it is extremely fragile, and you want to give yourself the best chance of success. And if you're chasing after and trying to satisfy difficult clients, that's going to increase your risk that you're actually not going to succeed.
From what you say now, are you in the school of thought that your peace of mind is much more worth any amount of money?
The way you frame that question, definitely. It's not, if you're not well, if you can't function well, then you can't last very long. It's the same when you get on an aircraft. They always tell you to put your mask on before helping someone else. If you're not taking care of yourself and looking after your own peace of mind, you're not going to be able to function very well for a long period of time. Part of that process of being able to perform well and is to be able to have a good state of mind, and that comes back to as well when you're dealing with clients. If you're not in a good state of mind, you're not going to be able to give them your best. So you need to give them your best.
Yeah, very okay. I want to say this, that it's not all offer that you take. There are some offer you take that will reduce your value because of the amount you are going to be paid, and you want to do your best to give them what their money can do. I don't know if you understand. In that process, you are going to be doing a very less than the standard, less than your own standard.
Yeah, and definitely. I mean, if you're giving less than your own standard, that's not great. If you're giving less than what they're expecting, that's really bad because they won't think highly of you. You should always be aiming to give more than what they're expecting, and that doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money as a startup business. Like if you're in that category, and or anyone that's starting up a business, little things like giving them that little extra value. It might be 2 weeks after you've done the sale, call them up, say hey, or send them a little thank you card. It doesn't have to be an expensive one. It can be just little, hey, thank you, I really appreciate your business, and let them know that you value them, that we really and that you care about them. Pay attention when you're having conversations with them. I mean, the best conversations are ones where you're asking questions. So ask them questions, get personal, ask them about their children and kids, and find out their birthdays. And it doesn't even have to cost you a lot of money. If you know when their birthday's in, put it in your calendar. When the birthday comes up, you send them an email saying, hey, just wish your happy birthday to your child, and to hope they have a great day. And that kind of thing. It doesn't cost any money. It takes if you do it well, it takes you 5 seconds to put in your calendar with a reminder. It comes up on the day it comes up. It takes you another 5 seconds, 10 seconds to send an email, but it creates tremendous value for the client, and they'll want to do business with you. People want to do business with people that they feel that they're connected with, and certainly they're friends with. And if you know your clients' children's birthdays and their names, you can pretty much be counted roughly as a friend.
Yeah, that's a good one. Damian, all these that you do in business, is it because of what you studied in school? Is it as a result of what you studied in the university or in the college?
I mean, I did study commerce when I was at university, but I went to university as a mature age student. As you probably know from my profile, I joined the Army first and was in this posted to the Special Air Service Regiment, which is special forces there. So I got to jump out of airplanes and go in submarines and do all sorts of fun stuff like that. And then, as a mature age student, I studied commerce and accounting. Wouldn't suggest accounting for fun. And I don't know, I think it's more about, for me, it's really about helping people, and that's what I love doing. I love it when you're working with a client and they have this growth moment. So because it's all about people. So when the people have this growth moment and they go, oh, now I get it. And the biggest change happens in any organization when the people change. Generally, the leader changes. And I have a friend. He had a business, and it was a large business. It was turning over 80 million, and he got really sick, really, really sick, and he was bedridden for something like 9 months. And while he was in bed, he was still getting reports and that, because he had good systems, and he must have been looking after his employees really well, because he wasn't at the business. And they took the business, I think, if I remember correctly, I can't remember the exact number, but it was around the 100 million mark. So he went from 80 million to 100 million, and he wasn't there. And now with the running of the business, he gives them guidance and stuff like that. But he turns up, he puts his feet up on the desk for an hour, and then he goes. And one of his trips, he took his motorbike to Mongolia and rode his motorbike around for 3 months. And that's the type of thing you want to create, an environment where people really want to excel, because not everyone wants to own a business. It takes a whole different skill set. Now, he can do that because he understands and he's gone through all the work and knowledge to be able to do that. So it's not something people go, I'm going to run a business and just not show up and people are going to do that for me. No, that's not how it works. He knows what are the key things. He gets the reports, he gets the information, he answers the questions that he needs to answer to keep driving it forward. And that's a completely different skill set that once you learn, you can inspire others to perform really well. And that's one of the programs that I also run is there's some secret, well, I say they're secret, but they're really, to me, they're obvious. But there's 4 key traits that a great leader will exhibit. And if you do that, you do those 4 things, not just do it, but you embody it. You'll have people following you, and you'll be able to inspire them to be better people, and they'll love working with you and helping the business grow, because the business will be contributing. It'll be having a great impact to the world, and people connect with that.
So it has to, first of all, be something of interest, something you are interested in. Because if you're not
a business at the end of the day has to solve a problem. It has to make the world a better place. It's not about, and this is where people struggle in business, because they're going, I want to make money. No, you make money after you actually help the world be better. So when you solve a problem and do something that makes the world a better place, people will pay you for that. And that's when if you have that philosophy, and you need to get that philosophy in your unconscious mind, and we do a lot of work with training people how to learn things unconsciously, because the problem that people have is not that the world is hard. The world is not hard. Confucius said, life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. And that is the reality. Business is really simple. You solve a problem. And if you do that well, and you look after the clients, you will make a lot of money.
True. I agree to that. I found out that you're not only vast in just business. You talk about relationship, you talk about law. I read that about you too.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where SHAIR.care comes in. And SHAIR.care, again, is a global community sharing experience, strength, and hope to create strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships. And then we have the Be Manly, which only launched in the past couple of weeks, which is inspiring boys, because a lot of boys and men are feeling lost, lonely, and not having a place in society, which is... it's kind of sad that that's the case, because boys and men have so much power, we have so much passion, we have so much ability to contribute and make the world a better place. And that's part of what Be Manly is about, is to inspire boys and men to say, hey, you have the power, get out there. The purpose of your power is to be courageous, it's to be intelligent, it's to be sensitive, it's to be compassionate, it's to be kind. Get out there, use that power for good. And, as from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. You have that power, go out there and use it well. and make the world a better place.
With Mali, I feel you're doing something really different from what the society today thinks. The society today thinks otherwise, that the women are not given opportunity. The women are seen as less being or deprived of so many things. That's the movement today.
You need to be careful when you use the word society, because what you find is when we use the word society, a lot of the time is what you're referring to is what's in the media. Now, the media generally is as a minority voice that is speaking very loudly, and it's not the majority. And the thing was, yes, there was a women's movement, very much necessary. Men and women, should have equal opportunity. One should not be repressed. No person should be oppressed. We should all have the ability to flourish in the fullest of what we choose to flourish. It's not for everyone needs to, not everyone wants to charge forward and do amazing things. Some people, want to, they want to have a focus on their family and do the best they can with their family. And that's wonderful too. That's we all should choose what's right for us. The feminist movement, it was very much was needed in certain, and still needed in a lot of places in the world. And with that as well, we have a lot of women, supporting Be Manly, because, as I said, the feminist movement was not about disempowering men; it was about empowering women. And that's certainly where we're working. The whole point is that we need to work together. Biologically, we're designed to fit together, because if we don't, we don't reproduce, and the species becomes extinct. That's the last thing we want. So we need to work together, and by coming together, men and women stereotypically have different traits. There's masculine traits and feminine traits, and but by working together, and we do that with I have a program called Negotiation Magic, which is a high negotiation course. And the best negotiators in the world operate from both a feminine and masculine trait. They have stereotypically men are more assertive, and so a good negotiator needs to be assertive to stick to what they're after, so they're not manipulated off their position to the detriment of what they're trying to achieve. In the same token, women are generally more empathetic, more understanding, more listening, and a good negotiator will listen and understand what the other side wants, so they're able to deliver it. So where you really excel is when you combine both. If both men and women, women generally can learn to be more assertive, they perform really well because they naturally have the empathy, and men can learn to that empathy component. They perform exceptionally well because they generally have the assertive part, and that's where we want to be in the world, where we're both excelling. Both men and women are excelling to the best of the potential that they want to be.
Yeah, great. What brought about the initiation? What was the inspiration behind it? I mean, Mali.
Be Manly. Well, we went because there were men and women were not men. Men. There was a lot of reports out there about men being lost, lonely, and not feeling that they had a place in society. We ran, and still running, a subset within the SHAIR.care podcast. SHAIR.care has its own podcast. You can look it up on Apple Podcasts, and on the SHAIR.care website, there's links to that. So if you go to SHAIR.care, SHAIR.care /podcast, you'll find all the links to the different platforms that host the podcast. But Apple Podcasts have it, and it's certainly on the SHAIR.care site as well. And from that subset, when we were asking that question, it became very clear everybody that was on there in either directly or brought it up in the conversation, but they all had, there was two things that came out of that from everybody that was on that show, and seems to be the case, is they all highlighted that that men don't have the role models that they that they should have. There should be more role models for men, and that being that it was not about repressing men. The feminist movement was not about repressing men. It was about encouraging women and men, that we need to get men back to that state of having that confidence to say, hey, yes, you need to be mindful as a male biologically. You are physically stronger. And the courts here in Australia have, they say this, that men and women are not treated the same in the court. And the basis behind that is men are physically stronger, they're more intimidating, they're more powerful. So, and that's where men need to understand that and go, okay, yeah, well, there is that component. So it doesn't mean we don't move forward. What it means is we adjust how we're doing things in a way that works more effectively. And I'll give you an example of that. In a relationship that I was in, the partner that I was with, she said to me, she goes, why are you always yelling at me? And I was a bit shocked by that, going, and because I was thinking, I was talking to my friends and other people, am I yelling all the time? Because I was talking the same to her as I was talking to other people. But what it was is, to her, my tone, just my natural speaking tone, she felt that I was yelling, and I wasn't. But what I did is I listened to that. I had that empathy. I tapped into that empathy, and I learned to speak, and I paid attention. So I was able to learn and become a better communicator. I was able to then adjust my tone when I wanted to a more softer tone, to have more delicate conversations with people, which gave me more ability to communicate. So, and that's what I mean by being aware of, okay, by my virtue, and that was the partner telling me, I'm sure there were other women that just in the way that I was talking felt intimidated by that, but by my natural speaking. And it wasn't intended as being intimidating, it was just how it came across. And that's where we need to, as men, be really, really conscious. And that's that sensitive component. There's 5 components. You need to be courageous. That means courageous is not, puffing out your chest and going, hey, I'm strong. Courageous is actually when you need to stand up for something that is right, and you might have everybody against you. Saying, hey, no, this is right. We need to do this. Intelligence, I think that's self-explanatory. You need to think. You really need to, don't just go along with things because somebody says it. Think about it. Does it make sense? Compassionate, obviously understanding, kindness. You need to have those traits. And sensitivity is a key one. Being sensitive to what's going on, paying attention, listening, taking that time. And that's where, that's men really, we've got that ability. We just need to bring it back out again.
Oh, I like how you confronted what I said when I talked about society. Truly, when I say society, it's truly the media. That's the truth.
Yeah, and I've had the good fortune. I've traveled to, I stopped counting at 44, but I've traveled to at least 44 countries. And the thing is, in all those countries that I've met, the people there fundamentally were all the same. They all wanted to enjoy their life. They all wanted good things for their kids. They wanted to have fun with their friends. And while cultures might be slightly different and want different things, and we taught different things, but a lot of that similarity. I mean, my background includes, my background is Polish, Russian, and Ukraine, so I'm a combination of all 3. And I have friends who are Asian from China. And when you look at it, the Polish have a food called pierogi. China have, and most people know Chinese dumplings, and Asian culture has dumplings. The pierogi and dumplings are pretty much the same pierogi, just a little bit bigger and a little bit thicker pastry, but roughly it's the same thing, sometimes, and different fillings. But in principle, it's the same. So when we look at things, if you look beyond the surface differences, you find so many similarities to what we like. And that's when you notice that and you go, well, okay, actually we're more similar than we are different. And not only that, from the differences we can actually learn and grow. And I love one of my business partner, he's from Iran. And I've learned so much about the Persian culture by working with him. It's amazing, it's fascinating, and it's helped me grow because I've got a whole bunch more knowledge.
Yeah, Damian, there's something I noticed. there's so many gender strife today. Gender strife. You see, I won't. They are not. I wouldn't say they are feminists, but they call themselves feminists. I think they are taking it to extreme, like the hatred, the bitterness on men. I don't know if it's because of their experiences. It could be. It could be how they were trained. It could be what they read and watch. I don't know. So I don't know if you've come across this. They hate on men. They're so bitter on men, and the men on the other hand also have their own movement, which they call masculinity, which is also has become a strife against the women. Like there is a gender war. That's what I see today.
Yeah, and you see a lot of that in the media, and because it's highly emotional, and that's with media. If it bleeds, it leads is the standard line. So if it's highly emotional, going to evoke a provocative response from people, it'll make the media. If it's not got that in it, it won't. And yeah, there are some people out there that have that extreme approach. And the thing to do with that, from our perspective anyway, from the Be Manly perspective, is to operate from intelligence. We understand, that part of this is for a provocative responses. So from intelligence, we don't react emotionally. We go, okay, and you have the conversation. If you want to have the conversation, I mean, best thing to do, if someone's, you can't argue with someone that's not going to argue. So if someone's being argumentative, walk away. You don't need to have that. Do you really need to have that discussion? Is it really important with you? I mean, we talked about time management before. A lot of times we'll have discussions and having debates with people about things that A, aren't relevant, and B, just waste a lot of time. Don't have the discussion to start with if it's not relevant. Or if you do want to, have that thing, have an inquisitive approach. Ask them about their point of view. And I've had that with many people that, fairly extreme on how they come across. And I didn't argue with them. I just listened to their point of view. And they walked away and went, wow, that was a really interesting conversation. I hadn't said anything. I just asked them questions.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, people forget you can be agreeable without agreeing. You can be a kind and compassionate person. This is the point we're talking about. Be manly. Part of your power is to be kind and compassionate, which means that you don't need to agree. None of that is in there. I have to agree with the person, but you can be kind and compassionate to their point of view and go, okay, tell me about your point of view. Well, how is that? Oh, so what have you experienced? And be inquisitive. And most people, a lot of those times where you've got the extremists, a lot of times they just want to be heard. And if you give them that forum to be heard, all of a sudden that the aggressiveness drops off, and you can have a conversation. And if they're interested in your point of view, then answer that question. But if they don't ask, why do you have to tell them?
Yeah, I'm saying this because in recent time, I have been seeing podcasts everywhere, and they are owned by these people, these kind of people, these extremists, and they are not helping our young ones, these growing ones, these children. They are not, I believe it is not the right way to do things. They are going extreme. The movement was good, which was the feminism isn't bad. I believe feminism is trying to talk about having the same equal opportunities with men, right?
Yeah, I mean, we all should, both. And that's where I guess I'm quite fortunate. When I was growing up, my mum she very much said, men and women are different. Women have strengths, men have strengths. By coming together, you become more. And that's probably a foundation for how I operate is it's not one is better than the other. We're just different. Yeah. And we can learn from each other. And that's the whole point. We learn from each other. And that's how you approach that. If you have someone who's an extremist and they're willing to have a conversation, again, and this is the thing, a lot of people feel this need to tell other people their point of view and prove they're right. If you're confident in who you are, you don't have to prove it to anybody. You know. I don't
Yeah.
have arguments trying to prove people, my point of view. I don't need to. I'm comfortable in where I'm going. I don't need anyone to, validate it for me or confirm it for me or even be on my side. I know where I'm going and I'm comfortable with who I am. And that's all I need to know. And if someone's interested, I'll have the conversation, just like you're asking me questions. But from generally, I don't need to go and talk about that to other people. I'd rather go out there and listen to other people, because then I'm going to learn more and become even more powerful.
Exactly. I like that. But were you originally very calm? Because I read something again that I like, that you never yelled at your 14-year-old child.
Yeah.
Were you
No.
like this from the beginning, or was it something you practiced to be calm? And because it's very difficult, especially in Africa. African parents are not calm. They can spank the child. No misbehavior, African parents. So it's when you said you never yelled at your child for 14 years, I was like, is this possible? I said, okay, since we are going to talk, I'm going to ask you, how did you do it? Because I want to learn it.
No, I wasn't always calm. And it's something to learn. I grew up and it's very same here. Most people don't know how to control their emotions well, and it's part of emotional intelligence. There's a wonderful book, and I've interviewed Yvette Girazzo. She's written a book called The Conflict Intelligence Quotient, and it really gets into the detail of how we address conflict. And a lot of times what it is it's a learnt behavior. I grew up, my parents argued, my mum yelled at me a lot. I don't remember my dad really yelling at me at all. I remember sometimes him being upset, but don't remember him yelling. But certainly my mum yelled at me a lot. And from when I was younger, that's part of my learned behavior. I learned to respond in that same manner because that's what I was exposed to. But then you get to a certain point where you choose to do something differently. And certainly from my son's perspective, it was more about, if you use a stick, for example, using that stick example, and using that punishment approach to get a result. As soon as you take the punishment away, the person's not going to do it because their motivation was only by not being punished. And so from very early age, obviously from my perspective, that's how I raised my son from an early age. I had the approach of encouraging him when he did things that I wanted him to do, rather than yelling at him for things that he didn't do. And a lot of times what you find with kids as well, kids they don't need a lot of attention. They do need some. And if you give a child a direct attention, and then the studies show that it's roughly 8 minutes a day. Direct attention is not a lot. 8 minutes a day, direct, focus, one-on-one, put your phone down, all that kind of thing. One-on-one attention. They will really connect with you and you'll be able to work well with them. So with my son, I've spent a lot of time with him in that case. And it was always more about rewarding him for the things he did do well, rather than yelling at him for the things he didn't do. If something didn't go right, I'd say, look, is that the right thing to do? And he'd go, no, it's probably not. And when he was younger, it wasn't because I wasn't upset. He wasn't upset. And because he also got a lot of attention, positive attention. I don't like positive and negative, but I gave him, I gave him attention and let him know that I loved him from a very early age. I always had that fun time with him. And so I didn't need to yell at him. It became, if there was something because we had that connection from the very beginning, if I said, don't do that, he listened to me. And now, I have done for a number of years now. It's not even, I tell him what to do. I ask him, how's your homework going? How are you going on and even for his schoolwork, I asked him, what grades do you want to get? We had the conversation of why he's at school. I asked him, do you know why, when he was in primary school, I said, do you know why you're going to school? because he seemed a little bit, and I went, oh, maybe he doesn't know why he's going to school. So, and then I explained, well, you see what I do, you see how I do my work, and we earn money, and you can buy, the Lego that you have and the toys that you want, and I use the money to do that. Well, it's because I went to school and learnt the knowledge that I have to be able to go out and do that. And then when he understood that and put that into context, he got it. And then a little bit later, when he was in secondary school, I asked him, I said, what result do you want to get in your schooling? And he picked a mark, and as a parent I went, I didn't say it, but I was thinking I wish it was higher, but then he went on and he went past that mark, and he's got A results and things like that. But it always became about, and when you're dealing with people, if you focus on encouraging the behaviors that you like, you do that in your relationship. If you're with your partner, and in your partner, whether you're male or female, it works both ways. If someone does something you like, say, I really like that. I appreciate that you did that. They'll want to do it more, and they will actually feel good inside and feel closer to you. But if you say, yell and say, I don't like that, don't do that, they're going to, get upset. They're going to feel bad, that kind of thing. And it puts a wedge between the relationship. So that's how that came about. Like I said, I didn't always, have that calm approach, but now, it's a choice whether you get angry or not, and it's a learned behavior.
And I can say that it's going to take so much effort and a very long time for one to get to the point where he's not provoked and is able to manage his emotions. It's not easy.
It doesn't have to take a long time, though. If you start to, as soon as you start to notice yourself getting that you feel the tension in your body, as soon as you start to feel that, stop, move away. It's a simple thing.
Apart from you having these emotions in you, getting angry or getting upset, you want to discipline things. The other person, most of them, they stir up these things. Even when you try to be calm, they still stir it up. I'm talking about the other person in question. How do you deal with that?
I think you're saying if you're dealing with someone who's got a lot of conflict in them, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, the first step, certainly in your personal life, and this was a lesson I learned too late, or not too late, but much later, was no amount of skill is going to fix a poor partner choice. And it works in relationships, and it works in business, works in friendships. So the first thing to do is be very clear about who it is, who you are, and how you want to relate to people. And then when you know that, and it's pretty simple, you just say, this is what I want to be. It's not like you have to go on a big journey or finding yourself or anything like that. But then pay attention. This is where that sensitivity component of being manly comes in, is you pay attention to how a person's behaving. And if that person behaves in a disrespectful manner, then don't deal with them, would be the first step. And if you can't argue with someone who won't argue. And in most situations, you can just not have the argument. Now, if you're in other situations where you might be in a work situation or something like that, where you've got a boss that's a pain, then it's something you have to deal with. There's a number of ways to deal. One is you can remove yourself from the situation, or you look for another job. But the other thing is, and this is where, again, taking that time, asking questions, because if someone, even the most arrogant people, if you actually listen and understand, most will actually, listen and understand and ask questions, most will then provide a helping hand to some degree and calm down. If you get argumentative back and justify things and try and justify things, or why are you doing that? Never say why questions. They're terrible questions. Why did you do that? So what can I do to help this situation? How can I better understand what you need? Those kind of questions So you want to have that, not why did you do that, but you bring it back to you. How can I do this? What can I do? How can I get clearer on what you need? Those kind of things. So when you put it, why are you behaving like that? That's an aggressive question. A person is going to respond aggressively. So you shift it back to you, and so you can understand that position. And then you also, too, as much as possible, you want to identify, is this person a person I want to relate to? And particularly in a personal situation, when you first meet someone, and if you're starting a relationship with someone, that's the best you're going to get. It literally is, because after when you get to know each other, she learns that you fart in the bedroom, and you learn that she makes all these sounds brushing your teeth that you didn't even know that people could make, and you learn all these different things that you don't show when you first meet someone. So when you first meet someone and you start dating and there's a bunch of things in there and you go, oh, I'm a bit concerned about that, don't be hoping it's going to get better, because it's not. And then there's a lot of people
do you address it immediately? Do you address it when you notice this? Do you just address it or give it time? Then you watch it?
I have the approach, it's not my job to change someone's behavior. I'm not it's like in a relationship scenario, I'm not someone's coach. What I'm there to do is find out, do we have an alignment? Do we have an agreement? And there's many people, friends that I have, where they've got behaviors that, I go, oh, I probably wouldn't like that, but it's minor and it doesn't really, it's not something that's really important to me. And I look at their character and go, well, actually, they're actually, really good people. And I understand how to work that relationship. But from the perspective of, from a dating perspective, when I was dating, it was one of those situations where I'd look at it, we're talking, and then I'd get a sense that this is, not going to go well, or someone was doing something a little bit difficult. It's like, well, I don't want to be dealing with that. And I know that that's behavior is likely to perpetuate. If you ask someone to change, I have this thing of, you don't know where to stop. And it becomes, over time, that person changes so much they lose who they are, and then they get resentful. So the best is, in my opinion, the best thing to do is find someone that actually aligns with how you align, and that you get along and you just enjoy being with each other. At a fundamental level, you just enjoy being with each other. And when you find that, which you can find that, then you have something that's really magical.
Thank you very much. I think I found this part more interesting than the business. I believe
it's fundamental. We all want to have great relationships, and certainly, most people want to, find a partner that they can enjoy and live their life together with. And if it starts out as you actually are really enjoying each other, and there's very little tension. It's not to say there isn't, and you're not going to have things where you disagree on. But if you're starting with a good foundation, you can have those discussions because you both like each other and you enjoy each other's company. And other time, it doesn't mean you do everything together, because you don't need to. A number of relationships I've been in, wasn't a lot of things that we actually did together, because we like different things, but the time that we were able to share with each other and enjoyed the time that we did have. And in a relationship, the whole point of being in a relationship is there's certain things that you do with each other that you wouldn't do with other people. Most primarily having sex.
Yeah. True. True.
And so that you want to be in a space where you have that connection, passion, and if you do, you said from that perspective, you enjoy each other's company, and that's where that encouraging each other, having you being with someone where you can go, okay, I can actually compliment that person and they like it and they accept the compliment. Also, too, their behaviour towards me is one that I like as well, where they're respectful of me, and when you find that, you create amazing passion together.
That's what matters. That's what really matters, not these many fights today. Thank you very much, Damian Andrews. It's been a wonderful time learning from you. I've learned so much from you. I appreciate you. Welcome.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on your show. It's an honor to be here. People can reach out to me. DamianAndrews.com is my website. If you search me on Google, you'll find, or any search engine, you'll find me easily. There's a lot of videos and useful information on my YouTube channel, or you can go to the Be Manly YouTube channel. There's a lot of great videos there. There's a lot of people contributing to that as well. That those numbers are growing, with people contributing to sharing that knowledge, and we welcome people to join us and be part of the fellowship and help spread that word that this is what we're about. That we are here to work together and create a wonderful world for everybody.
Do you have a coaching program, like where you can coach people, train people?
Yeah, well, we have that via. There's a number of different things and I've got new things coming out, but if people want to contact me, I can do that. But I'm working on a number of different modules for people that in a more economical package than would normally be the case, and some workshops and things like that, where people can sign up. Be Manly has that through the Patreon page. There's ways you can sign up, and we run workshops and things like that. So for people that want to join that, we have that ability. So if you search Be Manly and the Legends of Humanity on Patreon, you'll find ways to sign up to the different tiers there, ones that are suitable for you. There's one for workshops where we have a monthly workshop on different topics. So once you're part of that, you learn what those workshops are. But certainly there's a lot of that information coming out.
All right. Thank you very much, Damian. Thank you for coming to the show.
It's a pleasure being here, and certainly here to help anyone. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out, and if I can help, I will. So, and love to keep in touch and see how you're going and help in any way I can as well. So thank you very much for the time.
Thank you very much. All right, Damian, have a great day.
You too. See you later.
All right.
Thank you for joining us today on the Vivid Vision podcast. Make sure to visit our website at SHAIR.visions.com. You can subscribe to our show on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, and everywhere else podcasts are streamed, so you will never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found a value in this show, we would appreciate a rating on Apple Podcast, or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ShareVisions. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at ShareVisions. Be sure to tune in next week for our next episode. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing. Share Visions. Inspired, share the vision.